Yeah, good evening, the viewers of Flash TV. And today we are another edition of Flash Business. Today we have the honored the special guest, who is the chairman of Mesa Group and the CEO of MDLA Investment, a subsidiary of Mesa Group. So Mesa Group have been recently become Africa's seventh unicorn, significantly milestone on business world. We'll be discussing their incredible growth story, their expansion into their mining sector. So welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Can you, I wait you to tell your name, the people in the London culture, no man who introduce another man.
See, I will start with Africa stands at the helm of technology sector. See, if you
Okay.
see across Africa, there are many companies who had made more than billions of dollars revenue in Africa, and as per CAGR report, also it's been has $27.5 billion, and it's gonna grow by 300% by 2028. And I see as our group in Macer that the technology sector growing in Africa, you know, year on year 100% because the young tech savvy population have too much to contribute to technology sectors. And Africa has such a vast demography that people across the several countries have different talents and different things to get into technology sector. And then creating certain people tell me that people are creating buzz to make the founders and startups make famous, but creating a buzz is one thing and creating a buzz over several years is another thing, which is called a news. Certain founders you will see will come and keep going and in the market and create a buzz for 6 months, but to in a long term you need to have a stagnant growth and standard news spread across the continent when the people have trust in you.
Thank you, Platik. If I am spelling your name well.
Yes, yes.
Okay, let me ask you this question. As you said, your company now is valued in billions. How does it fit to become the seventh unicorn in Africa?
See, we do not consider this, that we should be proud to become a unicorn or, whatever the term is. We are from a traditional background. We have a conservative thinking. We focus mainly on still not till now B2B market and sales. For us, the figures and the values in, revenue shows us the confidence and where we are today. And it's not necessary to follow the same trend like other founders are following to make the brand as D2C. And we have proved over time that B2B business also exists now. So we are confident to add value more and more again. And, with more funding getting infused in our group, and we are confident to add value to it.
That's very good. And you have been making move and acquiring infrastructure, project interest in most of South and Western Africa region. Could you elaborate on this and how are you able to scale across the region?
I have seen Africa and especially in infrastructure and mining projects, which is, very much controlled by politicians and political people. But as we see that, what Africa calls is, with the colon that I see a streets, with the dark streets, and there are heavy lands of mines and everything. And Africa is plenty of natural resources which no one has in the world. Everyone is eyeing Africa for the next decade. And over the years, when Africa was known derogatively as a dark continent, the perception has completely changed by the western part of the world also, and the southern part of global south also. If now infrastructure projects, the capabilities and the funding what we have in the place, I see no one else in the market is having that, and the belief with the government of certain places that this is a group which can implement the project, which makes us confident to implement that.
Africa is having a huge of opportunity now and the future. So MDLR is making inroads in the mining sector. Can you speak to us about those plan and how has been your experience in this mining sector?
Is very tough. When you grow in certain businesses which are controlled by government or certain group of people in particular state, it becomes very tough. And especially when you come from a technology background. I come from technology background, and suddenly moving into infrastructure and large capital venture is the only reason behind is we got the correct subsidiary in the form and the correct funding and the correct connection in the form. Then certain people ask me that it is all about the favorism. When you have the connections in place, then you get the mining project. But I tell them in a different way that knowing a prime minister or a president of a certain country doesn't make the deal happen and doesn't make you give the contract happen. It's the capability of the company when you connect with someone and that particular government feels that the project will be implemented and will not be left behind or will not have a poor quality or the poor infrastructure. That is where a company comes in.
And another thing is, how do you see East Africa in a large capital venture? And is the region ready to attract a mega project?
See, East Africa as a very strategic location of entire Africa when you see the bird's eye view from Middle East market and the Asian markets. But the first entry point of Africa is the eastern part, which is specifically Kenya, Rwanda, or Tanzania. And then, entering into western part is altogether a concept, because demography wise, Africa is every country has a different rules and regulations and the laws of the land. And these particular places, which I told you right now, is the starting entry point, which makes comfortable for anyone to set up because they have access to these markets. So I see a great potential, the Asian markets and the Middle East market infrastructure and technology, which on the African continent.
I have another last two question. What are the next step of Mesa Group, and are there any exciting project or market that you are particularly looking forward near to the future?
Got approval for two particular projects like education and hospitality, which we are eyeing on in the Eastern Africa region. In education, we are trying to bring certain educating projects and universities, and then into hospitalities of certain hotel chains. We are in touch with government people in certain countries, and we are going to bring this very soon in Africa. And especially from Rwanda, which we feel very confident. Kenya is another place which we already have an access. So let's see, I think by the next quarter, we will have more clarity on the figures and, the investment part.
I think today's show is going to end here, and thank you that Mesa Group is leading the way in many sectors across Africa, and we look forward seeing how your project unfolds, so that for our viewers, stay tuned for more on how business like Mesa Group are shaping the future of African economy. Thank you, Pratik.